My Lords, the supporters of Brexit have been called many things. They've been called ignorant, gullible, naive, uneducated, bigoted, and the Right Reverend Prelate, the Bishop of Southwark, has added a new one, which is quixotic, and much worse, by people who refuse to accept the result of the referendum. Social media, I'm told, is flooded with unending streams of abuse and four-letter words. And I believe the four-letter word which should concern our lordships today is duty. It is the duty of this House to consider legislation carefully, to ensure it meets its objectives, that the drafting is appropriate, and above all, as the leader pointed out in her excellent opening speech, to respect the primacy of the House of Commons. The bill before us has been passed unamended and overwhelmingly by the elected House of Commons. The judgment of the Supreme Court required, as the noble Lord Hope pointed out, the government to obtain parliamentary authority for the notification of the UK's withdrawal from the EU under Article 50. That is all this bill is about. Nothing more, nothing less. It will achieve that policy objective and nothing more. It is closely drawn. It is narrow in scope, and it is our duty to pass it quickly and without amendment. The Leader of the Opposition argued, by the way, I mean the Leader in the other place of the Opposition, argued for moving Article 50 immediately on the day after the referendum result. And David Cameron had to be restrained from doing the same thing. And now we are having this great stramash about doing what the two leaders of the strongest parties in our country wanted to do on the day after the referendum. Parliament voted overwhelmingly to hold a referendum on our membership of the European Union. The government spent £9.3 million of our money on sending a leaflet to every household in the country during the campaign. It said, the referendum on Thursday, 23rd June, is your chance to decide if we should remain in or leave the European Union. This is your decision. The government will implement what you decide. What part of that do the Liberal benches not understand? And it is our duty to ensure that that promise is kept and that democratic decisions of the people and the House of Commons are upheld. This brings me to the Liberal Democrats. They are opposed. They are opposed to the composition of this House, arguing it lacks democratic legitimacy. Despite being reduced to a rump of 9 members in the House of Commons, more than 100 of them have landed here like beached whales noisily swimming against the democratic tide. Their hapless leader, Tim Farron, was almost alone, it seems, in welcoming Tony Blair's ill-judged and embarrassing rallying cry on Friday for people to revolt against the decision taken by the largest number of voters in our history. How galling for Keir Starmer, who carefully and responsibly led Labour in the Commons, and more so, the 346 members of the House of Commons who opposed leaving the EU, but who voted for this bill because they are Democrats. They put the supremacy of the democratic mandate ahead of their personal views. Education, education, education. Remember that? It was once Tony Blair's winning soundbite. Cloned from Shakespeare's Othello, the original seems more appropriate today. Reputation, reputation, reputation. I have lost my reputation. I have lost the immortal part of myself. The Liberals care not if this House loses its reputation. And they have the brass neck to come here and to boast in the press and to use this, that they will use this place as a platform to reverse the decisions of the elected chamber and challenge the people's verdict on the referendum by calling for a rerun. If Brussels thought the terms of Brexit must be approved in a second referendum, then of course they have every incentive to do their worst for our country. Of course, the country the Liberals, I refuse to call them Liberal Democrats, the country the Liberals are fighting for is against the European Union And if they damage the standing of this House in the process, so much the better. The Liberals say why? Because they do not support the democratic decisions taken by the British people and by the other place and seek to subvert it. If the Liberal Democrats' antics are extraordinary, they have pretty strong competition from the Scottish Nationalists. They won 57 out of 59 seats in Scotland on a platform that decisions that affect Scotland should be made in Scotland. And within a year, they have disgraced their supporters by singing the European national anthem in the chamber of the House of Commons. They've refused to seize the opportunity to regain control of fishing and agriculture, farming policy to the Scottish Parliament from Brussels. Can you believe it? Not a single piece of legislation has been introduced to the Scottish Parliament since the election nearly a year ago. Their only draft bill, we're told, is one to hold another independence referendum. Like the Liberals, it seems, the parties which are most enthusiastic about holding referendums are the ones which refuse to accept the results. The party with the largest number of supporters voting for Brexit in Scotland was which? It was the SNP. More than 1 million Scots voted to leave the European Union, despite all their political leaders campaigning for Remain and encouraging their elected members who supported Brexit to keep silent. Some MSPs, like Ross Thompson, bravely campaigned for Brexit, while others, like Alex Neil, the SNP member, voted secretly to leave. For the First Minister, 1.6 million matter, but 1 million are an inconvenient truth. This House has an important part to play in helping our nation to make a success of Brexit through its many select committees, as my noble friend Lord Boswell has pointed out, and through the debates that lie ahead. There is expertise here, and our reputation for cross-party cooperation and an evidence-based approach to policy is undiminished. As Lord Patel told us, we should pass this bill and get on with that task. According to the polls, almost 2/3 of voters want Parliament to do just that. We must not let them down. Yeah.